Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you're interested in today's video. As we all know, in the general-purpose processor sector, American companies Intel and AMD have always held a dominant market share. At their peak, both individual users and government and enterprise users in China purchased chips from these two American companies to build their own computing power centers and central servers. However, as domestic CPU chip technology continues to catch up, the performance gap between chips designed and produced by Chinese companies has begun to narrow with those in the US and Western markets. Furthermore, critical computing hardware like chips is crucial to infrastructure security, and the pace of replacement of domestic CPUs has significantly accelerated in the past 2 years. Recently, good news has emerged regarding domestic CPUs, with China Mobile officially announcing the move, creating an unexpected situation for Intel. It is understood that the global penetration of Intel and AMD processors is largely due to the deep integration of their chip architectures with Microsoft's Windows operating system. This deep integration of hardware and operating systems has created a nearly unbreakable Intel ecosystem. Developers have contributed tens of millions of software and hardware components to this ecosystem, making replacement a challenge. The rapid replacement of Chinese manufacturers in the general-purpose processor sector is also related to the ongoing development of related domestic industries. Chip design companies like Lucent have been planning domestic CPU replacements, followed by the accelerated development of operating system vendors like Tongxin and Kylin. This has enabled China's general-purpose processor industry to achieve a 1 + 1 greater than 2 output. Currently, sensitive domestic infrastructure sectors have already replaced products from American chip companies like Intel and AMD with domestic chips. China Mobile official announcement. According to China Mobile's recently announced procurement structure, the company's total supplementary procurement for PC servers in 2024 exceeds 1.9 billion yuan, with 23,637 servers exclusively using domestic CPU solutions. 14,316 servers use Kunpeng chips. 6,835 use Hygon and Shaoxin x86 architecture chips, and Phytong ARM chips, while 2,486 use mainstream architecture chips like Lucent and Sunway. In the general-purpose processor sector, China Mobile has completely eliminated American suppliers from its list, becoming a terminal company that uses 100% domestic chips. China Mobile's substantial increase in domestic chip purchases demonstrates the beginning of a situation Intel didn't anticipate. First, China's general-purpose processor sector is gradually moving toward independent and self-sufficient development. Unlike its long-standing dependence on US CPU chip supply, the development of the domestic chip industry has enabled Chinese companies to develop a comprehensive suite of solutions that fully replace imported CPU chips. Whether leveraging the x86 chip architecture or being compatible with the Intel ecosystem, Chinese chip manufacturers offer more than one viable alternative. China Mobile's 100% domestic chip purchase demonstrates not only the recognition of Chinese companies for domestically produced chips, but also the fact that Chinese products in this field are now comparable to those of some overseas chip giants. Second, another reason for the strength of Chinese companies is that domestically produced CPUs have caught up in performance. Chips like Hygon and Knowson are now only 1 to 2 years behind Intel and AMD, and can already meet the needs of most scenarios. Additionally, with the continuous improvement of the domestic software ecosystem and operating system landscape, Chinese chips and operating systems are now a perfect alternative to the US Intel plus Windows combination for infrastructure, government, and enterprise clients. This was likely a situation Intel hadn't anticipated, which is why, despite US chip controls, Intel implicitly complied with the rules set by the US. If Intel had initially assumed that domestic chips would replace Intel's, it would have certainly signaled a change in its business strategy in the Chinese market. The fact that Intel didn't do so suggests Intel wasn't sufficiently aware of the risks at the time. Currently, domestic CPUs have begun to spread across the consumer market, capturing a significant portion of the market share compared to server and terminal users. AMD and Intel have partnered with numerous game developers in this area, forming a deep bundling strategy. Thus, achieving a comprehensive breakthrough will require long-term planning by domestic manufacturers. For the domestic chip industry, a technological and industrial breakthrough in CPU chips is only the beginning. The consumer market and high-end AI GPU chips represent pressing challenges. However, Chinese companies have already accumulated sufficient experience in the CPU sector, and applying this experience to AI GPU chips could achieve similar breakthroughs in the future. Time is running out for US companies, which is why Nvidia and other US companies insist on shipping to Chinese AI companies. This also proves that American companies underestimated the speed with which Chinese companies could break through. As domestically produced chips continue to break through, more unexpected developments will emerge. What are your thoughts on this? Feel free to leave a comment and discuss.